little thing. All right, here we are coming in live for the Creative Imposter. It's actually been a bit since I've done a live stream. So, Svenja, you are my first
Yay.
guest coming back after a hiatus
That's
due to
awesome.
my teaching schedule. So, I actually was on vacation and like, okay, what's happening when I get back from vacation? Oh my gosh, we have a live stream on Friday.
It's funny. I was not on vacation and I looked at my calendar and I'm like, oh my God, I have a this Friday.
I'm glad it's not just me. I'm glad it's not just me. Well, here we are, the Creative Imposter. This is a special series that we're doing called When Your Art Becomes Your Job. And I'm defining art as anything that is a special skill, talent, passion, something that you enjoy doing, that you have a proclivity to, that you spend time working on your craft around, something that gives you spark in your life, that then transitions and becomes part of either your job, your business, your career, your side hustle, your podcast, your obligation. There becomes a, I enjoy doing this and I am good at it. And then there is a point when it transitions to, and now I have to do it because I have created a structure in which I have to do it. And that comes with a lot of pros and cons, right? There's good things and bad things to being, I don't want to say bad things, challenging things to being a creative professional, creative entrepreneur, or having your income be dependent upon something that you feel strongly about and something that you love. And so I've been running around online, meeting different creative professionals who are doing different things that I find interesting, and looking for people whose personalities resonate with mine and have something to offer to someone who is creatively minded, who is either working in a creative field or has a side hustle or is dreaming of leaving the corporate day job for a creative venture, and just kind of like seeing who is willing to be real with me about the nitty gritty of what happens behind the scenes, not just what we see on the website, on the speaking stage, in the social media. What it is actually like to be in that position. And that is a very long-winded way of saying that this is why I have brought Svenja Lyon here, who is the creative director of Lyon Creatives, which is, do you call it a branding agency? Is that the mundane way of saying it?
Yes, it's a boutique agency, branding agency.
A boutique branding agency. So
Mhm.
much in the same way that the Creative Imposter Studios is a boutique podcasting agency,
Yeah.
we have a boutique branding agency. And there is a lot of overlap between the work that I do with clients and the work that you, Svenja, do with clients, just from like different perspectives. And I love seeing how those integrate together. And we're going to get to hear a little bit of your expertise in a moment. But I'm just jumping right in. I don't want to hear your whole life story of how you got to where you are today or how you became a creative entrepreneur necessarily. But I'm interested in this current moment that we are in May of 2026. What is showing up for you right now in your creative life and work? Like, what season are you in? What's top of mind for you? What is going well that you're super excited about? And then on the flip side, what is challenging you?
Yes. So when I mean, you sent me a couple of questions that
Yeah.
might be coming up. So I was thinking about that because for some reason, I mean, I've been in business since 2010, and but it evolved over time. And so last year, if you compare it to this year, even though it's the same thing, it looks completely different. The focus has a little bit changed from my personal feeling about the business. So I came into Line Creatives as graphic designer. So I'm the designer. I create all your, branding. I create all the material. But this year, I feel like that my strength, because it's always been part of it, but I never really focused on it. So this year, I really focus on the strategy behind the design, because that's what I always included, but I just did it. Not even like it was just part of what I did. But this was actually the part that a lot of people appreciated about the work that I did, because there was so much thought that went in. So this year, I'm focusing a little bit more on honing in to the strategy. Really, who is the business? What's the personas? What's the, the competitors and all that? How does it look like? How can you, as the brand that we're developing, how can you be different to what's already out there? Because especially with AI and everything looks the same. So you really want to make sure that you're presenting yourself the way you want to be, and not just in the visual, also in the written part. And I think that's where it's like restructuring this year. It's more honing into those skills.
That makes a lot of sense. I wonder what's happening astrologically. I wonder what's happening astrologically, because I find myself in a similar place in my business. And maybe that's why we connected and resonated.
Maybe,
where, 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, when I started the Creative Imposter, I was coming from like an artistic background, a creative background, and like a media production background. So I knew the basic technology. I mean, I knew technology from the 90s, which was completely different than technology now, let me be clear. But I had a basic understanding of technology.
Yeah.
And then the sort of the theory of like communication styles and structures and strategies from a broadcast perspective, from a filmmaking perspective, from a storytelling and theater perspective. Like I knew all of those things. I knew how to do an interview from journalism classes that I took in college. And I was really working with people who already knew they wanted a podcast. They already, so maybe sometimes they had already started and then realized they were like, help, I'm in over my head. And I was there to help them execute and help them do it well, help it sound good, help it look, be packaged and distributed professionally. And then increasingly, strategy just started becoming more and more obvious to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also more and more necessary for people to consciously think about, because the podcasting landscape, the media landscape, content creation we didn't even have the phrase content creation 10 years ago. That wasn't a thing.
No.
Content creator was not a thing.
What is that?
So, it has been evolving, and I've been like trying to lean into, because when I lose clients, it's not usually because they're going to a competitor. It's because they're giving up on podcasting because it isn't, quote, working.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you've probably heard that from your clients before, of like, but this isn't working, or my marketing isn't working, or my website isn't working. And it's like, well, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, I just switched my words, the words on my website, and now SEO should be working, but it's not. Well,
Yes.
Well, takes a little longer than today's.
You have to train the SEO robots.
Yeah, you have to teach them. Yeah.
So is this pivot, I asked you like what is showing up for you in terms of like what you're excited about and also what's challenging. Is this pivot both what you're excited about and what's challenging?
It is both, because I feel that this is the direction that I want to go, and I'm happy that it's set. This is what I want to do. And I mean, I have a background in marketing. I studied marketing before I studied graphic design. So I have the background in both. So, but I just ignored marketing for the longest time. I just incorporated it a little bit. But now I know, oh no, this is where I want to go. This is the path. So now I can see a real structure in that path, and I can follow that structure. So that's both. It's challenging because, of course, now I have to rethink the SEO and all these things, and I have to approach it a little bit more strategically. And of course, AI plays a big role in that. And that's maybe what you said. Maybe it's astrology, but maybe it's also AI. We can name it differently.
I love this. I feel like I wanna create I always get ideas for new podcasts that I wanna start, and I was like,
Yeah.
"We should start, is it astrology or is it AI?"
Yeah. Might be. I don't know. Um, it's it's coming from somewhere, because what I've been seeing, and that's also a challenge, and I think a lot of people fall into that, and a lot of people maybe that are listening to this episode might be falling into that, is that everything just AI sounded so awesome, and AI sounded so easy. Oh yeah, it's going to write all my posts, and wow, I sound so intelligent now. Wow, this is so cool. But now everything sounds the same. Everyone is an expert, and everyone can just say the same thing, and everyone. So if you don't have a strategy and you just use whatever Claude chat, whatever the names are, is telling you, you just sound like everybody else, and that doesn't make you different. So now, if you work with someone and you really find what makes you different, that's what you want to show in your marketing. That's what makes you different from everybody else, because everybody else is just using the chatbots. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be using Claude once you found what makes you special. You can still use it,
Mhm.
but use it to a certain way where you don't lose your personality.
Yeah, it's almost like, because I was very resistant to the chatbots and the AI. I had coaches saying like, "Oh, Andrea, you're working too hard for your clients. You could do this." And I was like, "No, we do everything by human and by hand, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. No,
we and it's like, no, by definition, podcasting is a digital format. It is an online platform. Like you have to kind of roll with the technology to a degree. And also, what I've found is that the clearer, so working with my clients again, as we're, maybe I've been producing their podcast and editing their podcast for 8 years. And I know their brand inside and out because I listen to every episode of their podcast when I'm editing it, right? I help them choose episode titles and my teammates write the show notes and, all this stuff. I clearly have become an expert in their brand.
Mhm.
Uh, and when we can really sit down and think about how the messaging is leading towards a specific outcome, like, okay, I know you don't want to feel salesy on your podcast. Great. That's fine. But I want to know what your key messages are. I want to know what are the things that you believe about your industry or your profession or your niche that are controversial, that are
Mhm.
not what everybody else thinks. What is your differentiation? And I've heard you talk about this on your podcast, which I should pop up on the screen here, which is This Might Get Creative.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about this with guests too, is like with that differentiation, it's like what you might be one of many graphic designers.
Mhm.
And there are things that you will say about graphic design that other people will say about graphic design that
Mhm.
are just kind of like the nuts and bolts and the common wisdom.
Mhm.
But from the branding perspective and the creative perspective, what is it about your approach or your personality or your viewpoint? Or I think you've even said in one thing, it's like maybe it's even your accent if you,
Might be.
you
Yeah.
have a different accent. But what is it about your persona and the way that you're approaching something that makes you stand out and that makes you unique? And when you can tell the robots,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, me
please
too.
write, draft a LinkedIn post that showcases, these following, like, these are my brand value. Here are the brand values. Here's the brand voice. Here's what I want people to do. Here is who the audience is. When you know all that stuff, you can feed it into there and you're going to get a much more in the direction result. And then you still need to rewrite it. You still
Yeah.
need to, like, polish it. You still need to
Yeah.
say, like, "I would never say that word." Like, that
Oh my god,
that needs to
terrible.
come out.
That's
Um,
Okay, I have to
and
tell you a secret here.
yes.
So, Claude has strict instructions not to use the word actually, because Claude seems to love the word actually. And every single sentence had actually in it. So I actually told him that he actually should not use actually in his write-up, and he didn't get it. He still adding actually. So now I catch myself saying actually all the time because I'm telling Claude not to use actually.
So we are, humans are, especially if you are, I think if you have a proclivity towards certain learning styles, people will do this more where I will pick up the verbal patterns of even somebody that I'm interviewing. If I'm interviewing someone who says like all the time, I will listen back to that interview and I will think to myself, oh my God, Andrea, you said like 1,000 times. You don't normally talk like that.
Mhm.
But I just pick up on those and I'll do it for several days after the
Mhm.
interview too until
Mhm.
it gets out of my
Mhm.
system. And I have been laughing because with the AI stuff, I haven't used Claude as much. I've been using ChatGPT a lot. And I realize that my writing style when I'm writing for online, so this is not like academic Andrea of yore who wrote like papers and research, whatever, but this is online Andrea, pre-AI. That writing style looks like AI because I naturally write with a lot of M dashes.
Oh no.
I do use the word actually a
Oh
lot
no.
in verbal communication. And so I actually had a client, uh, see, this is terrible. I
Mm.
had a client that I wrote something for, and I am not usually the person who writes that specific thing. It's usually a different team member, but I had to do it just based on timing and whatever. I sent them the copy and she accused me of having AI write it. It
Oh
was
no.
me. It was my writing. I wrote it.
Yeah.
And she said, please don't use AI in the future to write this. And I was like, oh no.
So maybe you're the source for AI. AI is using you.
This was tragic.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, and it going back to AI, and AI is all over the place. So we talk about AI all the time, but I think it's important because that is part of what is challenging now too. Because AI sounds so easy. Oh, I'll just put it in chat. I'll just put it in Claude, whatever.
Mm,
But then it sounds like everybody else. So if you want to differentiate yourself from others, you still have to put the work in, just
mhm.
in a different way. So you might not have to write it yourself, but you still have to either record it or you have to research it, you have to correct it, you have to do all these things. So in the end, you spend the same amount of time it would have taken you to just write it.
Yep. I
Yeah.
know that sometimes I find myself, I'm like, well, this felt like it was easier, but did I actually save any time at the end here?
No,
No.
no. But what I think is makes it easy, and that's something that is positive about the whole thing. You start adopting things that you might have thought you can't.
Mm,
If you're not, English is my second language, German is my first language. Um, to write something in English, there's always this like, can I say this? Maybe not, And is that the right word? And it takes this, how do you say that in English? But you have like it's a hurdle to step over.
yeah.
And now AI makes that easier,
Hmm.
you know?
Interesting. Well, in speaking of the AI conversation and differentiation, we talk and the strategy of it all. I think sometimes when people are starting off, or maybe even not starting off in business or in a solo venture or creating something, and you say brand, people think graphic design.
Mhm,
Like they think that the logo and the colors and
mhm,
maybe the font, maybe if they even think as far
mhm,
as font, that is the brand and the
mhm.
name of the business, that
Yeah.
that is the brand. And you and I both know that brand goes so much deeper than that. What how do you define what a brand is and why it's important for us to even think about it? Does everyone need a brand? Does everyone have a brand? Dig a little into the 101 primer.
So I think we have to start at the beginning because that's something that I run into a lot.
Mm,
So there is, because when I start talking, and at the beginning I was like, well, I'm talking about the brand, but I feel like nobody understood what I was saying.
mhm,
And I think, yes, we know what a brand is. We know Nike, we know Apple, that's a brand. Cool. But there's a difference between the brand marketing and then graphic design. It all goes together,
yeah.
but there's the difference. So the brand is your vision, is your mission, is who you are. This is who you want your clients to see when you present yourself. So I stand for this, I do this, this is my target group, this is who I am.
Mhm,
No colors, no fonts, no logos, no nothing. This is you as your business, as the person. And it could be a big business, but it can also be just you as the person, depending on if you are the business. If you're a coach, for example,
mm,
right? You are the business, you are the brand. So what do you stand for? What makes you special? What do you want to put into your business? So that's all behind the scenes. This is your culture. How do you work with your clients? How do you work with your employees? How do you present yourself on LinkedIn or on the soccer field when you're with your kids? Like who are you and who is your business and what does it stand for? And then we have marketing. So marketing is the way how you reach your target group. This can be email marketing. This can be a podcast. This can be, I don't know, social media posts, whatever it is, a letter, an email, a mailing that you send out to an audience. That's the marketing. This is how you reach people. And then you have the graphic design. And this shows, okay, this is my color. This is the logo that I'm using. This is the font. And it goes into the details. Like, how does that email look that you're sending to your prospects? How, but all three pieces have to work together
mhm.
so that when you are presenting everything to your target audience, they know exactly who you are. If you're on the soccer field playing with your kids, they know. And if you are showing up in a podcast, they know who you are. Wherever you touch some prospects or clients or a certain target group, it all has to play together. It can't be different. And if one point is different, then you're diluting your brand.
How important is it? This might be a whole other podcast. How important is it when you are a business person or creative professional or whatnot that your brand as a podcast guest is consistent with your brand as a mom on the soccer field?
It's how you communicate, because you never know. There could be a client on the soccer field. Maybe if you're a creative person, you can maybe that, I don't know, that soccer club is looking for a graphic designer or someone
Yeah.
to help them,
Uh-huh.
right? And if you're there swearing and yelling at everybody, they will most likely not hire you if they come across your business.
Unless that's the brand they're looking for.
Unless that's what it is. Yes. Okay. Good. Okay, that's different than your own brand. Um, but the way you show up and the way you talk to basically everyone,
Yeah.
that's a reflection on who you are in your business.
Yeah. So when you are working with somebody, do you find that most creative entrepreneurs and small business owners, do you find that they have those questions answered in the beginning? The like, what do you stand for? What are your values? Like they don't know that stuff in the beginning. So
No.
is that where you're starting now with this new strategic positioning, is with that sort of a framework?
Well, I start working with people that have been in business for 5 years.
Right.
And the reason for that is not that I have anything against people that just start out, but when you're just starting out, you're still finding yourself. You don't have a voice yet.
Uh,
You know you want to be something. You want to be an agency owner, let's put it that way. Keep it in the creative field. You want to do that.
Mm.
But when you're starting out, you don't know really, because you have no experience in how does that even look like? Who am I? So you need to, at the beginning, you need to do the work. You need to put the work in. You need to discover who you are. And that can take maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever amount of time you spend in discovering yourself. That's the important work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go in with some knowledge where we can then start working with, because you need to know who your competitors are. And at the beginning, you might have an idea, but you don't really know who your competitors are. And sometimes the businesses that you think are your competitors are really not, because they might be doing the same thing, but they might be doing it in a completely different way and speak to a totally different target group than you are.
Yeah.
But you don't know that yet.
Yeah. And I mean, it's similar. When I first started out with podcasting, my clients were anybody who wanted to hire me and could pay me. And seemed like a relatively decent human. Yes, that was my target audience. And now over time, it's become clear to me through the process of working with different types of businesses, organizations, clients on different types of project. It's become clear to me I can work with anyone. I have the capacity and the ability to do that. But these are really the clients that I want to serve. These are the clients I work really well with. These are the clients that are doing work that feels important or meaningful to me, and that who I can really shine in supporting them to shine. And then that's like the dream come true, which is not to say that I would necessarily say no to a client who fell outside of what that definition is, but it just means that when I am doing my branding, when I'm doing my marketing, when I'm doing my communications, I am speaking directly to that specific like perfect fit person. And if someone else who is not that perfect fit happens to hear my message or see my email or my post and they're like, yes, Andrea is the one for me, I'm still going to have a conversation with them.
Yes.
But that's not who I'm directly speaking to necessarily. But that there was no way for me to, like, in retrospect, it feels obvious who my target audience is, just knowing my personality and my past experiences. It feels obvious. However, if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, I would have not known.
No,
there was no way for me to know that.
No.
Yeah.
And if you look at that out of a perspective from you as a client, if you go to the doctor and you have a brain tumor and you would like to have that brain tumor removed, you most likely don't go to the dentist who says, well, I studied it, I can do it, You would go to the specialist. You would get it done at the specialist, and you wouldn't get it done from the dentist that claims that he can do it, right?
Yeah.
So, but for some reason in the creative field, there's this, I don't know, idea where if you say that you're a graphic designer, you all of a sudden become a web developer, a podcast editor, I don't even know what else you can do with, like there's so many things that people associate with you saying, I'm a graphic designer. They all of a sudden think that you can do all these things. Oh, you must be good in video. You must be good in doing this. And you might not. But if you say that you're serving everybody, then
you
might have to do everything.
Yeah. And the differentiation isn't clear. It makes things a lot harder too when you don't have that specificity of what your focus is and what your brand is. And I know that on your website, I took your brand audit scorecard, which was very fast and easy. And what I like about this opt-in that you have on your website is that even just doing the scorecard for yourself, you're kind of like rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 of these different categories. Even just looking at that list and kind of thinking about it, it shows you some different elements that go into your brand that you might not necessarily have thought of previously of like, oh yes, this is, something that's part of it. So it's just like a really quick way to get a ground level view of where you might need to do some work. And let me just be clear that I was very honest on my little survey. And even though I have been in business for over 10 years and have been doing this, I still only got let's see, what was my score here?
You were in the
I think I got like a
33, I think it was.
33 out of 50
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So even still, even having a business for this long and understanding the foundations of branding and things like that, I still have work to do.
Oh, yeah. But it's also that and business owners in general, and we fall into that probably as well. So we're building something from the ground up. So for a long time, we have to carry that hat of an accountant, of a designer, of a content creator, of all these hats.
Mm.
And to be absolutely honest here, I should not wear a hat or should not even get close to an accountant hat whatsoever. I should not even touch it, but here I am doing it. But that doesn't mean I have to do it. If there's something that someone else can do for you because they're an expert, yes, please.
Mhm.
If I have the funds, if I have, please do it for me, because that frees up so much time and makes you so much more happy.
Yeah, and just having that outside, having outside perspectives as well can be really helpful. Like I'm thinking about um, you, like oftentimes people will come to me to have a podcast and they won't necessarily realize what the importance of their theme music is.
Mhm.
So they'll just be like, "Oh, anything is fine," or "This is fine," or "I heard this little piece and I like it." And I'm like, "Okay, but is 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 it communicating what you want it to communicate about your brand?"
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
you might like it. It might be pleasant or it might be fun, but I'm like, for example, there was a long time ago, not my client, but there was it still exists, a meditation podcast that was on a network, high profile host, all this stuff. And I get it. They were trying to be kind of like rebellious in the meditation community and like meditation is for everyone and not fall into the like, woo woo new age, like chimes and singing bowls type
Yeah. Yeah.
nature sounds,
Mhm.
whatever. But I enjoyed listening to that podcast in the evenings as relaxation, but the theme music was like rock and roll.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, it's so upsetting to me because this is a perfect evening time, like not a sleep time, but like because it was like conversations. It wasn't
Mhm.
meditations necessarily. It was like conversations about meditation and
Mhm.
philosophy and things like that. But it still was like a evening time relaxation podcast for me. And the theme music drove me insane.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
just like, oh, why? This is so upsetting at the end of the interview. I'm like all relaxed and it's like,
Yeah.
and so like you have to think about these things. And if that's not your expertise, if sound design and music is not your like I have a music background, I'm very conscious of how music evokes a certain emotion or a state or
Mhm.
a feeling or what associations, like if you're even if you're like a white person with a podcast and you're using like Eastern Indian music for
Yeah.
your like what there's some dissonance that's going on
Yeah.
here. It's just
No,
like
it has to
not
fit. It has
it
to
has to
fit.
fit. And so you have to think about your sound quality. You have to think about your theme music. You have to think about the graphic design packaging for your
Mhm.
podcast. Does this cover art say what I want it to say?
Mhm.
Does the way do the guests that I choose, what do the guests that I choose say about my brand? Um, the types of questions that I ask, going back to the AI of it all. Am I asking generic interview questions that
Mhm.
everybody asks on their podcasts? Because I think that's how you're supposed to do podcasting,
Yeah. No.
and that sort of thing. And having that outside expert, like you might, to me, those things are obvious. But if you don't have that background and that expertise, it's not obvious. And
No.
it's not your fault. You
No.
just don't know. And
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
having that external person who can kind of guide you and walk you through that process to make sure that you're aligned and you're not just like doing a good podcast, but you're actually doing an aligned thing. You're not just building a beautiful website, but you're building a website that reflects your brand, that is functional for what you need it to do. I love your website. I'm
Well,
obsessed
thank
with
you.
it.
Thank you.
Both in terms of the way it looks and feels, but also the navigation is super easy.
Mhm.
That's where I struggle because I do my own website. Uh, and like I know just enough to get by kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I struggle with navigation. Like I don't know if you can find anything on my website, to be honest.
Yeah. So, and that's a difficult thing to do, actually, because you need to, when you build your own website, and I fall into that as well, even though I know the strategy and I know how to do it, but on your own website,
Mhm,
you're kind of blinded
mhm,
because, okay, this is what I want to say, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. And then you put all these things on in there, but you need to step back and you need to look at who is looking at your website. Do the people that go to your website find immediately what they are looking for, or are they just leaving? So,
mhm.
and that was a big thing with my website. And I have to give a big shout out to Angela Acosta here. Um, she took the pictures on my website,
Mm,
and she's a branding photographer and the best, by the way, the best. She, I told her that I needed pictures that absolutely represent who I am, because for me, I am the brand. I am my business. And people already told me that I should put, because it's an agency, I should put generic stock images on there. And I'm like, no, no, because that takes the personality away. I mean, stock images are beautiful. I love a beautiful stock image, but not when you're trying to convey your personality on the website. And I told her that this is what I want. I want exactly who I am. I want the pictures to reflect exactly that. And she did. And it was so beautiful, because every time you look at the pictures, and I look at the pictures, I'm like, yeah, this is who I am. This is my brand. This is it. So, like everything on your website, you really have to take a step back. You have to look at it from the point of view of your audience, not from your own perspective. Look at it from your audience, which path do you want your audience to take,
mm,
and how do they get to what you want them to do? Because ultimately it can be different goals. It can be buy my product, book a call, take this scorecard, whatever it is. There needs to be a certain structure and path, kind of like a what's it called? You leave little hints, little
Like,
like a scavenger hunt, but
yes.
a good one, a good organized one, where it really leads you to the treasure box,
Yeah.
right? And that's the strategy behind the website. And if you only put the website on to have a business card and to say, oh, okay, this is my business. I mean, you have a website, but it's not really working.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about your personal experience of entrepreneurship. And how long did you say you've been in business for yourself?
It's 2010.
2010. Okay. So a good little while.
I'm old.
A good little while. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you started your business when you were 5. I have
Oh
no
yeah.
idea.
Oh yeah, that must have been it. Early start.
Early stage entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What how are you defining, because you're in a pivot, right? And whenever there's a pivot, I feel like sometimes business kind of slows down in terms of new clients and revenue, and it gets a
Mhm.
little scary where you're like, "Uh-oh,
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
is happening
Mhm.
here?" Because things need to sort of like sort themselves, and you need to find who is that. Is it a new client, or is it the same client but just in a different level of investment or a different place in their business? How do I change that messaging? How do I change my view? They think I'm a graphic designer. How do I now say, no, I'm actually a strategist, brand
Mhm.
strategist?
Mhm.
Uh, what Tell me a little bit about how you are defining success for yourself in your business, and what have been some of the biggest challenges towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
That
exactly that
that the
challenge.
success, yes. That is the challenge.
Yes. Um, how can I say that? Because there's a lot to talk about here.
Mhm.
Yes, once you define who you really want to work with, and once you define who you like, because you're also raising your prices, everything that is known falls away.
Yeah.
And then you have to, I mean, all the details, have to rewrite your website. Not maybe not everything, but you have to. Then if you rewrite your website, you also have to work on your SEO. If you do the SEO, you also have to do the social and the blogs and it all piles up. And then you're like, oh my God. But then on the other hand, it's to be comfortable talking to your new audience. You need to be comfortable with that because you haven't done it. So you need to do something new. And to do something new is always uncomfortable and it feels weird. And you feel like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? And I usually say, well, your brain is going to tell you, don't do it because you're going to die. But the reality is you're not going to die, right? So eventually your brain, you have to do a lot of repetitions. You have to do it a lot. And a big, big, big thing is networking. Oh my God, you need to go networking, and you need to go networking in person. Don't just do it online, because online is good and all, but networking in person in a networking group is the best step where you can grow and practice this new elevator pitch that you're developing. Because then once you go to that networking group, when you have your 60 seconds or 30 seconds where you really have to define who you are, in the beginning, it's going to be all over the place because you don't really practice it yet. And then you go to these events and you do it more often. And then all of a sudden you feel like, oh, last time I said this and people really responded to it. So let me hone in on that.
Yeah, it makes me think about the origins of the creative imposter, because when I was starting out, I did not know that I was starting an agency. I did not even know that I was starting an editing business. I was literally starting with, okay, people have suggested that I start a podcast. Clients, yoga clients, they wanted me to start a yoga podcast. I didn't start a yoga podcast, but that's what they wanted. Because my previous business before podcasting was I owned a yoga studio and I was a yoga teacher, yoga and meditation teacher.
Oh, that's so cool.
And my clients were like, we love the way you cue your classes because we understand what to do without even having to look. Like, we can just understand by your instructions of what we're supposed to do. You should do a podcast. I'm like, I don't even know what a podcast is. That was, I was like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But I did have a background. My degree is in broadcast communication. And so I did film and video back then. So I did kind of know the tech and I knew the communication piece, but I didn't know how to turn it into a business or what even my podcast would be about. I knew that I was burnt out on yoga at that point, and so starting a yoga podcast felt like the last thing I wanted to do. Might have been easier, I don't know, but it was not what I wanted to do. And so I kind of did some informal market research in that networking space, like you were saying, where I came up with a list of things I could podcast about. Like, what are all the things I know about? What are all the things I'm interested in? I have people in my community who can talk about these things, who could be my first guests, and what are all those different things? And so I would go to these things and I would shop around. People would say, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm starting a podcast." "Cool. What's it about?" And then I would say an idea, and the response would be, "Oh, that sounds so interesting. Tell me more." Or the response would be like their eyes glaze over. And then suddenly they say nothing, or they say, "Oh,
cool."
And then I'm like, "Nope, it's not that. That's not the right idea. Nobody wants to hear about that."
Yeah.
And so that was just kind of like my little informal way of judging people's actions. And when we came up, it was my partner and I, we came up with the phrase, the creative imposter, because, to your point, like you were saying, that sometimes your brain is going to tell you, like, can you call yourself a strategist? Like, do you have the right experience? Like, no, don't do that. That's not safe. You've not done that before.
No, you're gonna
you
die.
might die. That was kind of how I felt in the beginning. A lot of times whenever I'm starting something new is like, who am I to say, yes, I can edit your podcast for you? Or who am I to say, yes, I can help you position your podcast to help you get more clients? Like,
Mhm.
can I? I don't
Mhm.
know. You
Mhm.
know, like I've
Yeah.
never done it before.
Mhm.
And so there is sort of that, like, I'm trying to reclaim the word imposter, because it's like you are kind of an imposter whenever you're trying something new. You are trying something out and seeing if it fits and seeing if you're able to do it. You're being creative about it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's like a more interesting way to say fake it till you make it. But you learn as you go. Like, once, if you're invested in it, you're not faking people out in order to scam them or deceive them. You are putting yourself in a position where there are a lot of unknowns and you haven't yet claimed that identity, but you are learning how to
Yes.
move into it. And that was sort of, when we hit on this phrase, and I would say, oh, I'm launching a podcast. Cool. What is it about? Well, it's called The Creative Imposter. And people would be like, oh,
Mhm.
what's that? I didn't know what it was yet. I just knew what the name was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like, it inspired intrigue. And so I was like, yeah, we're going to stick with that.
But
Um,
you must have had some kind of like you were interested in the topic.
yeah.
Because if I would say, "Oh, I'm gonna fake it until I make it to be a plumber," I would not make it.
I
I
would
would
not make
not.
it.
So, because I have literally no interest in becoming
Yeah.
anything that has to do. I don't even know. Like, we had a plumber over and he did our outside sprinkler system. I don't even know what it's called. It was plastic before, it was broken, and now it's nice and shiny. I have no idea what it is. It was some kind of sprinkler system. But I'm pretty sure that if I would have gone on YouTube, I would have learned how to do it. And then maybe I would know what that thing is called.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, this is not I could do it, but I'm not gonna do it. But then, if you have an interest in something,
Mm,
especially in the creative field, let's say you wanna be an illustrator.
mm,
You will not be the best top illustrator within the first, I don't know, month. You will not, because you don't have the practice.
mhm,
If you're drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing, and even if you have been drawing for years, it takes time and effort and repetition in anything that you do. And
mhm,
only then you can say, "Oh yeah, I'm very experienced in that," but you will never be an expert because there's always something new to learn, which I think is a cool thing that can happen to you, because if you stop learning, you stop growing.
mhm.
And so if you call yourself an expert, then you're not growing anymore, because then you know everything. Yeah, that was my little spiel that I always give to my daughters.
Yes, I recall, one of my favorite teachers in high school, Miss Wittes. She used to say, um, that she hated sophomores. Granted, the first time I had her, I was a sophomore. She hated sophomores in high school because she's like, freshmen get a pass because they don't know anything yet about high school, but they kind of know they don't know anything,
Yeah,
so they're just doing whatever they do.
yeah,
She's like, sophomores come in here acting like they know everything,
yeah.
and they don't. Juniors, whatever, whatever. And then she's like, seniors are my favorite because seniors have reached the point where they know that they kind of know the ecosystem of the high school, but they're starting to become aware that they don't know anything about anything else. Like, they don't know anything else about life.
Yeah,
And they're ready for the next adventure, and
yeah,
they're like more open to learning, and granted, she was teaching advanced placement English. She wasn't
yeah,
teaching, so people who do actually like engage in learning and not, like, are like, just get me out of here,
yeah,
whatever. But I love how she was like, I hate sophomores because they think they know everything and they really don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was pretty funny. But I do want to make sure that we get into a little bit about, like, as a solo business owner, wearing all the hats, doing all the things, being, like, doing your own website and doing, hopefully not doing your own accounting, it sounds like.
I am. I am,
Okay, okay. That's
looking for
fine.
an accountant.
That's fine. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I don't do my own taxes, but I do
No,
my
I
own
don't. Oh, yeah, no,
bookkeeping.
I'm not touching that.
Um, Sometimes my bookkeeping gets caught up, like, from 3 months ago, 4 months ago, right at tax time. because those reports are due.
Mhm.
I need that external accountability. But wearing all the hats, doing all the things, like it's not just fun consultations and design work for your clients, right?
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of stuff that has to go on behind the scenes. Uh, have you ever experienced creative or professional burnout? Have
Oh,
you gotten
yeah.
close to that edge? What is that? What is that like? And how do you, I mean, I feel like I've been riding in and out of burnout for the past like 4 years, 3 years. I don't even know how long time has been.
It's a monthly reoccurrence. You know what I mean?
I have a friend who got an 8-month sabbatical from her job, 8-month paid sabbatical from her job. Don't ask how. It is a unicorn of a gift for her, and I'm very proud of her for achieving this.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Burnout?
I have a fantasy about being able to not work for 8 months and still get paid and have benefits.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. But you don't get that as a business owner.
I know, because it's like, my therapist will say like, "Oh, it sounds like you're getting close to burnout. You need to take a break. You need to take a vacation." And I'm like, "I literally can't afford a long enough like I can afford like I just came back from a great vacation that was like 5 days. But I worked while I was on vacation. Like I
Mm,
didn't work my normal thing, but I had things that had
mhm.
to occur that like there's no one else to do them. They have to occur. They have
Yeah.
to get done.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have the luxury, or I haven't built the structure to be able to take a month off, just like no work whatsoever. I could take a month off, but I would not get paid and I would have a problem.
Mhm. Yeah. No, that is,
So how do you approach this? How do you keep yourself how do you ride those waves and keep yourself going?
go for a run. I mean, it's, um it's funny because I go through these phases, and it's funny because I had someone on my podcast, and she is a business coach, and she actually, coaches her clients based on their cycles.
I listened to that one. I liked
Yeah,
that interview a
right?
lot. Yeah.
I did too. I'm like, because I have never thought about this way. Because you have the specific weeks, right, where you are productive, then not productive, and everything is going to poopy land, and then everything is good again, right? So I try to tell myself, because there will be times when you're sitting on your chair and you're staring into your computer and you're like, why am I even doing this? Like, this is why. There's literally no reason for me to be sitting here and doing this. And you might die. Brain again. So I now started, and I don't know if it's working. I just started it, so maybe it's not working, but I'm testing it. I acknowledge the feeling. I'm like, oh, you're back. That's awesome. But we don't actually need to talk. You can be here, but we don't need to engage. We don't need to talk. And what you're saying is not true, because I do this because it's my passion and I really, really, really want this to grow. And I do it because I'm passionate about the work that I'm doing, because I just love doing it. I love creating brands. I love creating a logo. I even love creating a business card. Just the way it looks, and when it's printed, it's so cool. And there's no space for these negative feelings. So I acknowledge, and then hopefully it will go away. Or I go for a run. That usually cures it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But you just can't listen to that voice, because that voice is not the truth.
Mhm.
And I learned this from, and I don't want to go into it too much because I know people hate when runners start running, talking about running. And I'm going to keep it brief. But when you run a marathon, there's a point where, like, F this. Why am I doing this?
Yep.
It's typically at mile 23. And you just want to quit. But you don't, because you have this goal and you want this medal and the banana. So you keep going, but you hate every single step after whatever, mile 23. And then you see the finish line, and then it all changes, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to do that again. How about I sign up next month? You know? And that's just how it is, because you have to go through difficult times. You have to do the things that you don't want to do. There will be times that you don't want to do it. But if you stay consistent, if you stay persistent, and you just do it, you will get somewhere.
And what would you say is your art? In the beginning of this, I said art can be defined somewhat broadly, but Svenja, what is your art? What is that thing that you do that makes you unique, that you're passionate about, that like is that spark of creativity that feels like unique and special to you?
That art. Well, if you just talk about art, I wanted to be a illustrator. I mean, you can see a couple pictures in the back here, but I gave up on that. But this is something that I really like. But I think it's more than that. I mean, I do like the drawing. It's kind of like a meditation. But I think the art is that you create something from a vision. And you find, you put your thoughts into it, and you're like, oh my God, what visual element can represent this mission? And what are the colors and the way it comes out? And then all of a sudden it's on a t-shirt, and then it's on a business card, and it's on a website, and the website develops. First, it's just wireframes and gray, and then you add the color to it, and then there come little elements, and then it all of a sudden makes sense. That's what I love.
Creating something, like making the vision tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like doing that with words and sound, not with visuals. Visuals is whenever I hear you on your podcast saying, just because you have Canva doesn't make you a graphic designer, I'm like, she's talking to me.
But it's the truth. Yeah.
I do enjoy Canva. I have a lot of fun. I don't know how good my results and my designs are, but I enjoy doing it.
No, Canva is awesome. Canva is awesome. But I go back to my plumber story.
Right.
Just because
just because I have a plunger doesn't mean
exactly. I'm not a plumber. And a plumber might look at it and like, oh my God.
Exactly. Well, if you are watching the replay of this video, or if you are listening to the audio version in the future, I want to encourage you to check out Svenja's website at lioncreatives.com, where you can also get the brand audit scorecard. And I promise that you're not going to get a judgy response back that says, you are terrible, you are going to die. That will not be your results.
No, you must use Canva. No.
You will not get that result, but you'll get some ideas of some things that are opportunities for you to work on in your brand for sure. And then also to check out Svenja's podcast, This Might Get Creative. You may be hearing an upcoming episode with yours truly about podcasting coming up. And I didn't even get to ask you about how your podcast fits into your business and your brand. So I know it's my interview, but we might have to talk a little bit about that on your show.
Yeah, no, we can do that. Yeah. That was a development, yes.
So stay tuned for part 2 of Andrea and Svenja talking about all things. We'll try not to spend too much time talking about AI. And also, as I mentioned, this is part of the When Your Art Becomes Your Job series. So if you want to hear more conversations like this, there's some that I have previously recorded, and there are some that will be upcoming, but you can find all of them on the Creative Imposter YouTube channel. The short link to that playlist is bit.ly/art versus job. Worst bit.ly link ever, because versus is not obvious that it's VS, but it is art VS job. My fault. Not thinking things through. But that's where you can find the playlist. And if you want to hear more about how podcasting may fit into your brand, into your business, into your ecosystem, you can get my secret podcast, which is at, oh, this banner is wrong. Oh, no. bit.ly/pep exclusive. Bit.ly/pep exclusive. There was an extra L in the banner. Ugh.
I didn't see it.
I'm still in vacation brain.
I did not see it.
That's where you can get my free secret podcast called Peace, Love, and Podcasting, which is more strategic thoughts about things coming up in the industry and less of the nuts and bolts of podcasting and more of that strategic approach. So those are some resources for you. If you're listening to the audio version, these will be in the show notes in your listening app, of course. But all of that said, all of that promo and resources and fun stuff out of the way, Svenja, before we end here, just one more question, which is there anything else that is coming to your mind right now to say about creative entrepreneurship or branding or anything at all related to what we did or didn't talk about that feels important to say to those of us out there that are trying to do all the things?
If you have an idea of a business and you have a passion, just do it. And you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to, you just need to get started. And then once you get to a point where you're kind of in a flow and you know where you go, hire a professional to do the graphics for you. Unless you're a graphic designer, then do it yourself. But hire someone who can really bring your vision to life, because you will see the difference in the difference it makes for yourself, the way you show up and how proud you're going to be of what you have created, because it really shows, like I said, with the pictures, because it really represents who you are.
I love your brand photos. When you booked and I clicked the link to the different promotional pictures, I was like, you sent me more than one option, which is great. So many people only send one photo, and if it doesn't look right in my template, I'm like trying to do things like remove background and like whatever to make it fit into my podcast cover art template. So I was like, you have options, you have landscape and portrait. They're all good. They're all fun. They all feel authentically like your personality. I was like, this is my dream. Right here for podcast guesting. So check mark on that on visuals for being a good podcast guest.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this stream. Thank you to our viewers and listeners. And get the scorecard. Let me know how it turns out. Maybe book a call with Svenja and see how you can fill in some of those gaps. And until the next time, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Svenja, don't go anywhere.
No.